Hello, lovely.
That worked.
Oh, technology sometimes does my head. Hello.
Yeah. Oh, how are
Oh,
you?
I am well in yourself.
I'm good. I'm actually a bit sore. I have you heard of the No Excuse Mums exercise group?
Yes, I was a part of it back in the day.
I went to that on Sunday morning and I am feeling it. Yeah.
That's exciting. It's nice how when
Yeah.
you try something new and your body goes, ow, in a good way rather
Yeah.
than
In
in
a good way. Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And how did your body feel when you were doing it?
Yeah, good when I was doing it. Yeah, they do like a set of stairs on Sunday morning
Oh,
with
yeah.
some workouts in between.
Yes. I
And
remember
apparently
those
they don't
stairs.
normally have mm, apparently they don't normally have weights, but the lady brought some like kettlebells and dumbbells along
Okay.
and
Yeah.
yeah, so it was really good.
Oh,
Um yeah, and it was nice just to get out of the house and do something with other people. Yeah,
yeah. Who get the
yeah,
season that you're in, eh?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 Although I think I was probably one of the ones with like one of the younger babies, I'd say.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Some
yeah,
ladies still go and they've got like kids at like primary school and yeah,
yeah,
just it's just they love
yeah,
the community. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's cool.
Oh, well done.
Mm.
Good job.
Mm.
It's a nice
Yes.
feeling having the muscles talking back to you in a good
Yeah,
way. Oh,
yeah.
yes. Well, thank you very much for making the time.
That's
Ex-
okay.
Exciting. It should be some good discussions.
Yes.
I will share my screen. Let me know if you can see that.
Yeah.
Yes, we are winning. That's a good sign. Alrighty. So, the joys of returning to running post C-section. Have you given it a go? Were you running the stairs or walking the stairs?
Yeah, I did do a little bit of running on the steps, but it was just really hard cardiovascularly to run up the stairs. Um, I have done I'm like doing a couch to 5K program, and I've done like 2 weeks of it.
Oh,
So and I've had a bit of like setback with I had some knee pain, which is now resolved.
oh, good.
So we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't come back. I got some new running shoes.
Great.
And then I also had mastitis. So yeah, I'm
Yes.
not on track of where I wanted to be with it.
Yeah.
But I'm, just getting back on there. Yeah,
Yeah. It's the I'm moving forward. Oh, I'm
yeah,
moving forward.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's more like it's
yeah,
this journey than it is this journey that we
yeah,
would love. We all dream of that one, eh?
yes, yeah, yeah,
And it's the ones that are on social media that have that dream moment, and then everyone goes, "Wow, how did you do it?"
yeah,
And you're like,
yeah,
"You're a dream." There's a very
yeah,
few people that have that moment.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
well done for approaching it well. Should be some
Mm,
cool, fresh discussions on this one. So,
mm,
we're going to get into it. We'll first look at our amazing bodies. We will celebrate what it has done so far. Grown a
mm,
tiny human, hooray, well done.
mm,
Our blood volume increased as much as 50%, rib cage expand 2 to 3 inches, which that in itself is like ridiculous, right? But it's like, whoa,
mm,
it's amazing. Pelvic floor has been under greater pressure during pregnancy as baby's grown, but also obviously if we've gone through active labor as well, that's put some more
mm,
pressure through. And then good old joints and ligaments loosen with the amazing hormone relaxin. And that softens the ligaments, making the pelvis more flexible and our bones able to move as it needs to. Our linea alba, that's that beautiful connective tissue that runs down the middle. Between
mhm,
six pack muscles, hooray, that
mm,
expands and allows as our baby grows and gets bigger, that widens and thins. So a lot of people are like, oh, my abs split apart. You're like, well, not quite. It's like that connective tissue that extends. And then as we know with C-section, that's where all the excitement happens there. And as your
mm,
center of gravity changes, our posture adapts to help keep us upright. So our bodies
mm,
already went through a lot through pregnancy. Um,
mhm.
I love this diagram. Have you seen this?
Yeah, I do love that one. Yeah,
Yeah, just that impact on, and now breathing for one, but
yeah,
then particularly
breathing
on
in the pelvic floor.
pelvic floor, yeah, the way the diaphragm and the pelvic floor work together. I think that's what I love about it, because it shows it is that
Mm.
it's a
Mm.
teamwork. It's not just pelvic floor isolated by itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the throughout the pregnancy, baby gets bigger and more
Mm.
pressure coming down through here.
Mm.
Did you run throughout any of your pregnancy?
Um, did I? Maybe a little bit in the first trimester, but I stopped pretty quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was like
Yeah.
early in that second trimester. I was like,
Yeah.
I thought just
Yeah.
the different chatter that was going around and research and whatnot. I was like, okay, well, we can
Yeah.
park that one for a bit.
Yeah.
Cool. And then the impact of abdominals during pregnancy, so that's the linea alba for those that haven't seen it before. So that's kind of how it looks before having babies, to a point with your
Mhm.
abdominals, rectus abdominis on either side. You got your transverse that wraps around like a corset. And then as you get baby gets bigger, this lovely linea alba here expands. And just understanding that, right? Everyone goes through it when you're pregnant, no matter what.
Mhm. Mhm.
Everyone's linea alba expands. And majority, do you know the statistic for it coming back after baby?
Yeah. Yeah, when I used to assess it, I'd always it'd be one of the things that I'd do in a postpartum check.
That's 6
And
weeks.
at around 6 weeks, yeah. And most people's it was less than 2 fingers or about 2 fingers width, which is considered normal. So
Yeah.
yeah, so most people were fine. Yeah,
Yeah. I think
yeah,
women that are thinking like it needs to be completely together, you're like,
yeah.
no.
Doesn't need to be.
No. Yeah.
No.
We're to function well. If you've got things pushing through, maybe let's talk about it. But
Yeah,
yeah, otherwise.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think the key for us thinking about for women that are thinking about returning to running after a C-section is running causes an increase in the pressure in the abdominals, as well as in
Mm,
that pelvic floor area. So that's for everyone, whether you've had a
mm,
C-section, whether you haven't, whether you've had a baby or not. That's what's physically, isn't it, happening to the body.
mhm,
So here, our amazing bodies postpartum experience C-section, so that's 6 to 7 layers have been cut through or torn through. Scar tissue is the way our body produces it to help heal it, which is amazing in itself. Initial skin
mm,
layer, 10 to 14 days, which is where a lot of women go, I'm healed, I'm good to go.
mm,
Not quite.
mm,
6 to 8 weeks for all of those 6 layers to be healed. Nerves grow back 1 millimeter per day. Some people
mhm,
seem to have more impact on their nerves than others. Is that right?
mm. Yeah. Yeah, I probably has something to do. So if it's like an emergency Caesar versus a planned Caesar,
Mm,
like how quickly they've got to do the surgery.
right.
Yeah. Um, yeah.
Yeah. It's
Mm,
fascinating, isn't it? Because some women are like, I'm numb forever. Other ones are like, oh no, like after 6 to 8 weeks, I had no problem. And then others are like,
yeah.
oh, I have nerve, I have tingling. And
Yeah.
yeah, it is. It's a fascinating, and nerves are a fascinating journey.
Yeah.
Then the remodeling of the scar we talked about in the last one with massage of the scar,
Hmm.
and how it begins at 3 weeks and it's how the fascia is relaid down in beautifully organized straight lines so that it can move and glide and function better than it can. And so when we're running, it's really essential that that fascia is removed really well and to
Mm,
glide as it needs to rather than catching on things. Rehab can begin
mm,
from day one post-surgery to enhance our recovery, and return to high impact exercises no earlier than 12 weeks. And
mm.
how have you found that journey of having to go progressively and not go too high impact until that point?
I think I personally have found it absolutely fine
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
can't imagine doing anything, you know. Um, yeah, like
Sooner than that. Yeah.
yeah, I think just, going through that newborn stage and, that's tiring enough, let alone,
Mm,
I couldn't imagine trying to run or lift heavy weights or jump
yes.
during that time
Oh,
anyway.
yeah, not a chance. And I think for me, when I was young, I was very hesitant because at the time there
Yeah.
wasn't much out there about rehab or anything like that. So it was kind of
Mm,
like you're waiting for this magical 12-week mark, and you're like,
mm,
I remember talking to my brother who's a
mm,
physio and being like, so how do I do this? And how do I go to the point of you know, being able to lift my baby, but nothing heavier, yet I need to lift the capsule as well as the baby. Like, how do I do this? So yeah, bit of a process, isn't it?
Yeah.
So just recapping again, returning to running causes an increase in pressure through the abdomen and the pelvic floor, and particularly because of those layers that have been cut and torn through, that healing process needs to take place and it needs to be prioritized. So we're going to have a look at this amazing document that you sent me through. Hooray. This awesome piece of research that was created by 3 brilliant physios in the UK that are passionate about the importance of safely returning to running, because there hasn't been a lot out there, has there? Or there's a lot of like, here, like, this is an idea, but actually being able to collate all that information together. I think they've done a really good job. Which is empowering for us as healthcare professionals. So running is a high impact sport, placing a lot of demand on the body. Postnatal women need adequate time to heal and regain strength, particularly in the abdominal and pelvic floor muscles after pregnancy and delivery. Now, before baby, I mean, I run, before I was pregnant, I'd done a marathon, so I've been building up towards that, and so I'd run a marathon. And so the main thoughts I was thinking about was not overtraining the body, but being able to slowly progress, and then obviously making sure like my joints and my muscles were strong enough to be able to handle what I was doing. Yet after having a baby, all of a sudden there's like pelvic floor, there's hormones, there's, you know, the change of body because of pregnancy, the loss of muscle, you know, from sitting so much and not being as active, my change in posture. So the approach felt so much different. And I had to be a lot more cautious than thinking, oh, okay, I'm over baby, you know, I've had baby, I'm healed, I can get straight back into it. There was a lot more to approach. Have you found that? Did you do much running beforehand?
Like half marathon was kind of my distance that I would be happy running. So I would often be like training for an event, and then if I didn't have an event to train for, I wasn't always very good at keeping my running going. So I'd try to have events to keep me going. But yeah, I really enjoy running, getting out, and I find it's really good for the mind as well.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the headspace. Clarity of mind, and especially when you've got a little one that's attached to you so much
all the time.
It's like I still remember my first run without the pram, and I remember going, I can use my arms, like, oh my gosh. And my husband cracking up and laughing at me when I came home. I was like, it was amazing. Like, I was like, what are these things? You will get back there one day. With the Couch to 5, are you doing it with pram, without pram?
I haven't been doing it with the pram, so I do it. I just have to do it. Luckily, we're going into summer, so longer days. I've been doing it when he goes down at night, and then I'll just go out for a run in the evening, or on the weekend, like when he's for his first nap, I'll go down for a run.
Yes. Good job. Well done. It's a nice feeling. I know. I mean, I've been in the injuries phase at the moment, so it's like I'm like I can I want to run again, but it's like my body's not quite yet. So one of the things that they talk about in this piece of research, which is something that I touch on in the preparation for women when they're looking at having a C-section, is that consideration about the C-section remodeling of the scar. And what they've realized is that post research was, everything is completed by 12 weeks. And now they're starting to realize the remodeling of the scar can actually last up to the year and beyond. And so the importance of being able to look after that journey better. And in particular, this is the thing that blew me away when I found this research, that the abdominal fascia only regains like 51 to 59% of its original tensile strength at 6 weeks. So like when a lot of women are thinking, they're getting released from doctors and saying, cool, you're good to go. For C-section mamas, it's going, oh, hang on, 50%, that's pretty borderline in the sense
low.
of like the ability for that, you know, the muscles and the fascia to be able to handle that. And only 73 to 93 by 6 to 7 months. There was one lot of stats that I found and research that it said that it will never regain more than 93% in your entire life. So never get back to its original state. I mean, 93 is pretty close, but yeah. And I was just, yeah. But again, that was around the 12-month mark.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And I think just sometimes the body going, oh, okay, so it's not me being soft, you know, it's not me going, oh, come on, get back into it. What am I waiting for? There's a reason for needing to slow that process down. So they've got 3 evidence-based recommendations, which is always helpful, not just from experience, but the evidence. Firstly, postnatal benefit from individualized assessment and guided pelvic floor rehabilitation for prevention and management of pelvic floor organ prolapse, the management of urinary incontinence, and for improved sexual function. So as a pelvic floor physio, how does this, like for you, like when you hear these words being said, what sticks out to you?
I guess like when you would see someone for a postnatal appointment, you know, they're doing an assessment of you and where you're at that time. So rather than it just being like a blanket, like, you know, you're good to go because you're 3 months or 12 weeks or whatever. You know, they might assess you and be like, oh, I think you need to work a little bit on this or a little bit on that first, and I'll get you to, you know, ideally get you to come back just to make sure everything's okay. Yeah, I guess also, you know, so it's talking about, you know, prolapse and urinary incontinence and sexual function, which, you know, those are all really important things that are impacted on during pregnancy and childbirth as well. So those are definitely things to be aware of, that they can, you know, you can have issues in those areas, and getting an assessment if you do notice any issues.
I think I still remember sitting in my car waiting for my first pelvic floor assessment and being like, oh my gosh, like, I mean, I had a baby by that point, but still I was like, oh my gosh, and like once I had it, I was like, oh my gosh, how helpful was that to know what is actually going on inside the body, and particularly in the area, you know, of my pelvic floor, and going like, and just having that understanding of my body, as you said, rather than, you know, just reading something that says, by this point, you should be able to do this, you know, and my left side is stronger than my right side, or, you know. Very helpful. Number 2 evidence-based recommendation is returning to running is not advisable prior to 3 months postnatal or beyond. This if any symptoms of pelvic floor dysfunction are identified prior to or after attempting return to running. I know for myself, I didn't have anything when I returned to beforehand, but during when I was running, I was actually at No Excuses Mum's group, and I was feeling fantastic. I think I must have been about 6 months, and 5 to 6 months postpartum, I think. And I was doing, they had jumping lunges. You could either sit the lunges or jump. And I'm like, I'm feeling really strong and ready. So I started doing them, and during the session, no issue. But probably about half an hour later, I was like, oh, something doesn't feel like a bit of a bulging feeling, a bit of that heaviness. And I was like, no, I was like, this is not cool. And so I had to kind of move back again.
Dial it back.
Significantly, and then make that slow journey back through again. And I had to be way more cautious. So, I mean, I was breastfeeding at the time, and I know they think that that's got an impact on, you know, the hormonal side of things, isn't it? And just realizing, even though my brain says yes, my body said yes as well.
Yes.
But
afterwards, you noticed.
Communicated that my body was not ready for, and it wasn't even lots, but it was enough for my body to say, no, you're not ready. To return. Okay, we get there in the end.
I think if people don't know, like because pelvic floor dysfunction, people might not really know what that means, so like
go for it. Yes.
I would say, like, obviously urinary incontinence is one, so that could be like cough, coughing, sneezing, laughing, running, jumping,
And you
so
wet
any
yourself. Yeah.
bladder leakage with it. And then the other big one, is prolapse, so which feels like heaviness or bulging or pressure.
Dragging.
Dragging. Some people get like a lower back pain that
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Mm.
So those are kind of the main kind of symptoms, I would say.
Yeah.
Just
Thank
if people
you.
didn't know what that meant.
No, that's a brilliant insight. Thank you, my dear. And then the third lot of evidence-based recommendations is the assessment of pelvic health, load impact management, and strength testing that they have created, these three physios, is based on clinical consensus, drawing from the best available evidence. So rather than saying that, this is the way, they've tried to pull as much as they can and from the consensus going, this is what we would recommend you to do. So there's no specific study to postnatal population has been carried out, but again, it's trying to work out how can we empower women as much as possible. And so I've really appreciated this. So overall, if we look at the big scheme of things, it's saying 0 to 3 months postnatal, low impact exercise only, and specific rehab focus, particularly for, when we're thinking about C-section mums in particular, that 3 months, if you can complete the returning to running assessment at the earliest 3 months, then do it. If you're not able to, that's okay. You can attempt it later. And then 3 to 6 months postnatal return to running program. So we'll have a look at the assessment. And I was really intrigued by it, but I will check. Let's see if I can do that. Put that in the chat. It's gonna let me do it. I don't know. Let me see. Here we go. Ha! Yay! But this lady does a really brilliant job of explaining it and showing all the movements really well. So we're looking, so helpful, because sometimes reading it, you're like, oh, what does it look like?
You're like, what does that mean?
Yeah, even me, like as a personal trainer, I've done it for years, and I was like, that's interesting. What does this look like? And then when I saw it, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So firstly, 30 minutes of walking. What I've found is that obviously by the end of the first phase, so healed phase of our rehabilitation program, a woman should be able to walk that 30 minutes. But again, everyone's different. The keys for these is that you're able to achieve the following without pain, without heaviness in the pelvic floor area, without dragging or incontinence, so not peeing on yourself at any point. So walking for 30 minutes, and it's not slow walk, it's a good, huff puff. Single-legged balance. Have you tried this yet?
Yes, I've done the test.
Well,
it was good. Yeah, it was a bit of a workout.
Especially when you're doing them one after the other, it's like, okay. And the body hasn't done it for, a long period of time. And all of a sudden you're like, I think in the restore phase, there's a little bit of balance work, but more so in that third phase. A little bit of balance work there. So, but single balance, 10 seconds on each leg, single-legged squat, 10 repetitions. I think that's the one that's just like a nice challenge. What you can do, have a look at the video, but what you can do is even just put a chair behind you if you're like, I don't know if I'm going to come back up again. And it's not literally like people are thinking pistol squats. It's not a pistol squat. It's just bending the knee and come back up, wanting to have that stability through the knee and the hip. Then next is jogging on the spot for a minute, which is longer than you expect when you haven't run in a while, right? Yes. Forward bounding, that's when you're really throwing yourself and landing. In this video, it shows single leg, but you could also probably do it double leg as well. How did you find the bounding?
Yeah, I think I did kind of like single leg. I found it fine.
Yeah.
But I think when I read it, I was like, not really sure what they wanted from it.
Yeah. So it's almost
the
like
same with the single leg squat. I was like, not 100% sure what I was aiming for.
Because and I think there is such a room for interpretation, isn't there?
Yeah.
Where I think that would be like that next step of the article if they were to have like
pictures or
images.
videos, I reckon.
This depth, as a pass.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's like, I love to be able to have exact things going, okay, this much is a pass, because a single leg squat, you could do like a tiny movement if you were really desperate to get back to running and it's not actually quite ready. But so jogging on the spot, the forward bounds, I've seen both people doing it with like two-legged jumps, like jumping forward and landing in a squat, half squat position and throwing themselves forward again, or like you said, that single leg. When it comes to running, I would probably prefer to go for that single leg practice to see, can I handle landing on one foot and then jumping and landing on the other one? And if I can't, then maybe go back to practicing with two legs and then come back to the one. Hop in place repetition, 10 repetitions. That was okay?
Yeah.
Nice. And then the single leg running man, that cracked me up. So for those that are like, what the heck? It's like you're standing, standing on one foot, and then you're,
yes,
trying to get my knee high enough. So when the camera zoomed in too much. But yes, the running man. So check out the link that I've popped in there, and I will, or if not, then just say, "Oi, I want it," and I can send it through. But the keys are red flags. You're wanting to go, okay, have I got bulging? Have I got heaviness or pressure dragging in the pelvic floor? Do I have any pain? And that doesn't necessarily just have to be in the pelvic floor area. That could be hips, that could be knees, the body's saying, oh, pain is a communication of our body to us. It's something's not quite right. Incontinence, flaring of abdominals. So you might find that, you've got more like a cone shape when you're doing these movements. So did you pass the first time?
Yeah.
Well done. And how many weeks or months were you postpartum?
So I did it right on like 3 months.
You're like,
I was like, I'm ready.
I love it. Oh, that's brilliant. It's so good.
But now, I think I would say, like, because I was doing like the recovery program, like I was doing your workouts, I think it really helped me build the strength first, so that when I did test myself, I was like, I can do these. Because I think quite often, like, people would, come to the clinic and say, they want to return to running, but they haven't done any exercise at home themselves to build up their glutes and their quads, and and I would try to get them to do similar exercises from this article to like help them build themselves up before returning to running. Because otherwise, you can, if you're not strong enough, then the pressure that you're putting on your abdominals and your pelvic floor is going to be more, as well as the impact of potential injury, hips and knees and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's important to build the strength first.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Here, I'm with you on that one. And it is, I think, and particularly if you've been a runner before before being pregnant, it's like your brain still feels like you're able to do what you used to be able to do. You just, particularly before being pregnant, it's normal, a lot more normal to suck it up, push through. Does that make sense? It's like, just push on. Where like after you've had a baby, you've got to be a lot more like wise in the decisions and the approach to it, isn't it? Which can be hard when we're impatient.
I think something else I used to remind people was you've been pregnant for 9 months, or however long, and during that time, did you run? Probably not. Or did so that's like 9 months of not running, plus you're like 3 months of postpartum that you probably haven't run. So like, don't go back into doing 5K without stopping.
And I love that just because you can doesn't mean you should. Right. So the body still, you can end up paying for it later on in the track. So if you have failed the assessment, what now? Again, it's going, firstly, which flag did you fail on? Like I said earlier with my doing jumping lunges, and all of a sudden my body was like, oh, my pelvic floor is what was talking to me, not my joints or anything else. it was like, okay, I need to go back and be really more gentle. I need to build that strength more, and I need to give it rest initially. And yeah, so it's knowing what is it that I am needing to do. So professional help, or maybe it's just going, am I going to do a slower approach to the process? I think it comes down to how significant the impact of these areas are. I would always highly recommend seeing a pelvic floor physio, 100%. So important. But if it's the slower approach, it might be going, cool, like for our, program, it's that it is looking and going, okay, we've got the 0 to 12 weeks. Really, it's 18 weeks by the time you add all of it in, but it's going, where do I need to work on my flexibility? Because tight, restricted muscles are not going to function and move as well, which can cause pain in the body. How's my walking going? Am I able to push myself a little bit more, getting the half puff on, or maybe increase the duration instead of maybe going to the bounding work that my body's not quite ready for. So maybe it's finding maybe sort of undulating hills, like not massive ones, but enough that it's like, oh yeah, I can challenge myself a bit more without having to necessarily move straight into something like running. Core and pelvic floor, that's why we have real focus on that with each of the sessions, and foundational strength work, which is what you just talked about, which is so cool. And how, I guess it's covering all the bases, isn't it? Making sure the four important components balance each other with the rehabilitation moving you forward. What is it there? Now, if you have passed, hooray! Exciting. Then now what? So it's like pregnancy and giving birth is like returning to running after you've had an injury, just with usually some more, complicated BCs. But I think it's going. It's being kinder to yourself, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rather than trying to push through.
Yeah, definitely. I think like listening to your body, and I guess like being aware that there's probably going to be setbacks like I've had. So just kind of taking it as it comes, and I think I've enjoyed kind of doing the Couch to 5K where it's intervals, and I'm not pushing myself to my max, which I would used to, and it is I would say it's almost a bit more enjoyable because I'm a bit more relaxed. I'm just kind of enjoying being outside and getting the fresh air, and yes, I'm doing a bit of running, but I'm not like suffering with it, I guess.
Well put. It's almost as like, if you were to choose yourself, you'd probably go harder than what it's telling you to do. But because you know the journey that you're needing to go with the Couch to 5K, then it's like, okay, I can take it approach.
Just enjoy it.
So because it's like returning from an injury, it's always thinking safety first, but like gradually building up your running. Like what we said here, that slow program of Couch to 5K. I have also done that this year. And listening to your body, massive one. And are there any red flags? If there are red flags, it's going, okay, how do I approach it? Because just because you haven't got red flags when you start doesn't mean they potentially won't come in, is it? So it's continuing to go, do I have red flags? They're not worth ignoring, are they?
No.
So I've just put here, what's your greatest challenge? So for you guys, whoever may be watching this later on, is it impatience? Is it having to gradually build up? Is it pelvic floor weakness, leaking when you're laughing? Is it abdominal weakness, aches in your body? What was probably the biggest challenge for you before you were able to run again? Because you said at 3 months, you're like, I'm ready to go, let's go. And you did the test. What was the biggest challenge for that first period of time? Or was there something else? Tiredness?
I was going to say probably none of those. It was probably just, fitting it in around baby and everything.
Genius.
But then I think since running, like I've had a bit of the knee pain, it's just a bit of a bummer, like when you're getting into it and you're excited about it, and then you have a setback. But I'm hoping I've been for a couple of runs since, after having like a couple of weeks break, and I haven't had the knee pain, so I'm hoping it's not going to come
Amazing.
back.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend walking backwards.
Yes. Yeah.
Have a look out for the knees over toes, guys, the ATG program.
Yeah.
I've been using that and it's been phenomenal.
Okay.
Yeah, really, really good. And just strengthening the knees by backwards walking, which takes all the pressure off the knees, but actually strengthens what needs to be
Yeah.
strengthened to move forward. So yeah, highly
Interesting.
recommend. Yes, yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Is there anything else you want to add, or any questions or thoughts, or when it comes to
Um,
returning to running?
uh, Sports bras. Having a good
Yes,
sports bra.
yes,
So you don't end up with sore boobs, especially if you're breastfeeding.
yeah,
What else? I think checking your running shoes.
yes.
Like how long have you had them for? Do they need replacing?
Oh, yes. It always caught me
Those are
out because I
probably,
did loads of walking during the earlier
yeah,
stages, and you don't
yeah,
realize you walk through your shoes.
yeah, yeah. I think those are
Oh,
my two key ones. I for the Couch to 5K, I've been using the NHS. So it's the health system over in the UK.
yes.
Um they've got like a podcast version, so you can listen to it, which is really cool.
Oh. So they talk
It's
you through
potential.
it.
Yeah, they took you through the walking and the running, which is quite nice, and it's got music as well.
Oh, nice.
Um, but it's probably a little bit like slower than other ones. So yeah, but I know that there's like some apps and stuff out there as well. But I just
Yeah.
like
Yes.
listening to them talk,
Especially when it's
telling me what to do.
especially when it's like for a period of time, you don't have to keep looking at your watch. Oh, has it
Yeah,
been this much? When do I need a
yeah,
the person is telling you, run now, walk
yeah,
now, focus on
yeah,
your breathing.
yeah, yeah,
It's so
exactly.
encouraging. Oh,
Yeah,
fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time.
no worries.
Absolutely love our chats and the wisdom that you carry, but also your obviously your hands-on experience with what you're journeying right now with your recovery.
Yeah, that's
Where are
cool.
you at the moment? You're in the strength phase. We
I'm in strength, and I'm just
stage.
starting stage 2.
Ooh,
Just starting that this week. Yeah. So I'm
nice.
kind of doing 2 to 3 weeks in each one at the moment.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, just to
nice.
yeah, and then I'm adding in just the no excuse mum stuff
Yes,
when I can, just
awesome.
to get out and do exercise with other people as well. Just
So
brings a
nice.
variety to the week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very true,
yeah,
very true.
yeah,
That
yeah,
understanding, isn't it? It's like, oh, yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Community. Oh, so
Yes.
good.
Yes.
Have you been doing more the weights of stage 3 or yeah?
Yeah, so I did that a couple of times in the first stage, just
Yes.
adding in. I've got just a couple of 3 kg
Okay.
dumbbells.
Yeah.
So I've been trying that, which has been really nice. Yeah, good to add in some weight.
Oh, it's a nice
You can
feeling, isn't
definitely
it?
feel, I can feel it cardiovascularly as well. Like just
Yeah.
makes it a bit harder. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
The body knows it's pushing that bit harder, right? And going a bit more
yeah,
stronger, and you're like, okay, more
yeah,
demand.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
That's
well
good.
done.
Yeah, thank you. It's
Well,
good.
it's always great chatting, my dear, and I look forward to
Yeah.
chatting again.
Yes, sounds
Um,
good.
yes, and so we'll be in touch, and if there's anything
Yeah,
else that we can do to help, just say that.
yeah, cool. Thank
Mhm.
you.
Enjoy your night.
Yeah, you too. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.